Welcome to your Ignite News for October 9th. I'm Megan Adams.
And I'm Elisa Picarillo. Here's what's making news. The Ebola virus has claimed its first North American victim. Dallas resident Eric Duncan died Wednesday, and another man is currently being tested after experiencing similar symptoms. I sat down with a local Hamilton expert who says there is currently no need for concern. People all over the world have been concerned and afraid of the Ebola virus outbreak. Though Hamiltonians aren't currently at risk, it doesn't hurt to know exactly what the virus is. Doctor of Infectious Disease and Internal Medicine Tim O'Shea explains.
Ebola is a virus. It's a virus that gets spread from contact with infected patients' body fluids, and it falls under the classification of viruses called the viral hemorrhagic fevers, which means that it causes bleeding, essentially. So bleeding and leakage of fluid in multiple sites throughout patients' bodies. Typically occurs in small outbreaks predominantly in sub-Saharan Africa, and more recently in the news because of a larger outbreak that's occurred in West Africa.
Dr. O'Shea believes that if a case of Ebola were to come up in the city, Hamilton Health Sciences is prepared.
The hospitals, both St. Joe's and Hamilton Health Sciences, have been putting a lot of resources into making sure that we are prepared. And I think probably from our experience with SARS in the past, there's a lot of lessons learned from SARS that have been applied to outbreaks like this. So certainly the frontline folks that would be first seeing a patient like this in the emergency department have good protocols of exactly what they're supposed to do if there's a suspected case. One of the big areas is the laboratory testing, because again, there's concern of the technicians who would be doing the testing being exposed to those samples, and so there's very strict protocols on who can do the testing, where they get sent, how they have to be labeled. So I think that they've done a fairly good job of thinking through all the different possibilities and setting up really protocols to deal with each of those.
For Ignite News, I'm Elisa Picarillo.
The Hamilton Philharmonic will be paying tribute this weekend to one of the all-time greats, Ray Charles. Stephen Sobat sat down with one of the performers to find out about the concert and what Ray Charles meant to her.
The Hamilton Philharmonic Orchestra is performing a tribute to one of the greatest soul musicians, Ray Charles. They'll be playing at Hamilton Place next weekend. The concert will include many of Charles's classic hits, like Georgia on My Mind and You Don't Know Me. Soul artist Joni Narita will be singing at the Ray Charles tribute. She explains the performance isn't going to be an impersonation, but an appreciation of his work.
It was very varied, and he had a long career, going through different genres and stuff, so the show does represent that.
Narita has been doing solo work for most of her music career. She says she's really excited to be working with an orchestra as prestigious as the HPO.
Just the fact of singing with a symphony, number one, is pretty amazing. Like when I got asked, I was like, what? Like I kept, you're calling for what? I don't know about other singers, but for me, I've always dreamed about singing with a symphony orchestra. I have so much respect for instrumentalists. And it's sort of a dying art form to a degree, not so much being a musician, but the appreciation of that kind of music is not what it used to be. And so I straight up thought I would probably never get that chance.
Mohawk is sponsoring some seats in this evening and offering them to students for free. If you're interested, please contact the HPO. Reporting for Ignite News, I'm Stephen Sobat.
Local independent art school, the Dundas Valley School of Art, is celebrating 50 years and looking forward to 50 more. Kareem Mosna has the story.
So to commemorate 50 years, the Dundas Valley School of Art opened its doors to the community, offering free art workshops and other activities. To top it off, DVSA founders Marianne Farnan and Emily Dutton arrived for the celebration.
When I started this, it was because I had been looking for a teacher for several years because I was painting and I needed someone, and so when I went to June and there I met a few teachers, and I asked one of them if he would come to Dundas once a week to teach a class, if I would get the class together. And he said yes, he would. He'd like to very much, and so that's how it started. Because I needed a teacher.
The school has become a cultural landmark for Dundas and surrounding communities.
I think you don't have to look very far to realize that the Dundas Valley School of Art has been at the heart of enormous economic development around culture, and the fact that the community continues to grow in terms of artists and artisans. So I think it's one of those lovely relationships.
McMaster University students are on the lead edge of medical research, but for these students it comes for a cost. The first annual Research Awards Day leads the helping hand with students, putting researchers in the spotlight. Ignite News reporter Dyson Wells has the Research Awards.
The medical research conducted today translates into the solution of tomorrow. That was the message of St. Joseph's Healthcare Hamilton as they prepared to announce the recipients of their first annual Father O'Sullivan's Research Awards earlier this month. The academic awards range from $500 to $37,000 a year, the largest award reserved for the postdoctorate researchers, and the largest grant available is funded by TD Bank Group.
Yeah, so the event today is the Father Sean O'Sullivan Research Awards Presentation Day. St. Joe's Healthcare Hamilton has had a long-standing program where we've funded researchers who are beginning their research careers, and today we announced 4 recipients of Research Fellowship Awards that we provide, 3 funded by St. Joe's Healthcare Hamilton and 1 funded by the TD Bank Financial Group. St. Joe's in Hamilton has for many years supported a variety of different research programs. In the last 18 months, we've really tried to reinvigorate the research programs here at St. Joe's, and we're investing money and time developing programs that would allow us to build on our research excellence.
Students also took the time to host booths related to their research and to field questions from the public. Some of their research pertains to complex subjects like cognitive behavioral therapy for patients with IBS or warfarin therapy for those with cardiovascular disease.
So I'm going to be doing a study investigating the effects of cognitive behavior therapy for irritable bowel syndrome. And we're going to be looking at the effects of cognitive behavioral therapy on symptomatology, quality of life, and changes in the gut microbiome in patients with irritable bowel syndrome or IBS. And so it affects approximately 5 million Canadians per year, and it's associated with a cost of about $6.5 billion per year in terms of costs due to treatment, as well as disability and lost days of work. And it can be a very disabling disorder for individuals who suffer it, and a disorder that oftentimes has a chronic course. And right now we don't have any clear treatment recommendations in terms of clear cure. We have ways to help manage the symptoms, but not a direct cure for the disorder.
Now I'm studying at my master HRM program, that's health research methodology, and my research focus on cardiovascular disease and some chronic disease such as cancer or depression and things like that. For example, when patients are considering therapy, warfarin therapy, they are concerned about some adverse events such as major bleeding. So now we are going to build a model to see what the probabilities of stroke and bleeding is, such that the physician and the patients can better decide whether they are going to take the warfarin or not.
This marks the first annual Father Sean O'Sullivan's Research Awards held here in Hamilton at St. Joseph's Healthcare. Reporting for Ignite News, I'm Dyson Wells.
That's all we have in news. Let's send it over to Sam McFadden with your sports.
Last year, Mohawk women's volleyball team had a good year but came up short in the playoffs. Carla McGill looks at the off-season changes for the women's team and their high expectations for this upcoming year.
The team is looking ragged, to say the least.
According to the Mountaineers women's volleyball coach, Andrew Nicholson, after a rocky start, things are finally starting to come together for the team. After coming up short last season, this team is here to prove themselves. Some general changes were made to the team to utilize their strengths and further their season. The biggest change would have to be to the team's captaincy. Kristen Van Hardingsveld was replaced with Lindsay Collette. Coach Nicholson usually picks the captains himself, but this year he let the team vote.
Leadership on this team is very much shared, and Lindsay's got a good support group around her.
We're looking really good. We're training really hard. We're all kind of new. We have a couple of vets this year, but it's looking really good.
The other evident change has to do with the team's lineup.
Probably have to get our starting lineup a little bit earlier than we did last year. We were kind of going through some flux for the first half of the season, and in the end of the day, that was what really kicked us out of the playoffs. We were not set early enough. This year we have a very good returning starting group, and one or two rookies will slide into that starting group, so that's going to make a huge difference this year.
Collette knows exactly how to get her team to the playoffs and exactly which strengths to take advantage of.
No, we're pretty well-rounded in all the positions. We just need to work on better practices, and then we should be solid. We're very tall this year. We have a lot of tall people coming in, so that gives us a better edge because a lot of teams are shorter.
Collette is heading into her third year with the team. Last season, she ended with no errors, service errors, or reception errors. Rookie Allison Underwood says the collaboration of last year's veterans and this year's rookies was a little hard to get used to.
The chemistry was a little rocky at first, but I came from Effie Medill Secondary School and I played on the high school team there, and I also played for Waterloo Tigers Volleyball Club. The team is awesome. I love playing with them. They're a great group of girls. We get along really well, and I think we have a great set of skills for this season. The chemistry was a little rocky at first, but as we continue to practice, we've gained a lot of chemistry between everybody, and I think it'll turn out well. I want to gain a lot more experience. I have only played competitively for 2 years, so I know that I'm lacking a bit of experience compared to the other girls, and I hope to become a more powerful player through my hits and serving.
After observing the team simply participate in basic passing, spiking, and digging drills, it is clear that Mohawk has one devoted, connected, and motivated squad.
Humber always poses a pretty big threat. Niagara's looking good this year, but other than that, we're pretty even with all the teams.
You always worry about Humber. I mean, Humber is a very good team. We're in the toughest division in volleyball by far. I hear that Redeemer's bringing back all the same players they did last year, and they're already in the OCAA as hosts. I know that Niagara is going to be quite a bit stronger, and then there's a couple of other teams. You know, they come out of the woodwork. You never really know what to expect. That said and done, we're going to be a very good team, so I'm not overly concerned.
The Mountaineers' home opener against Seneca will take place in the D-Bark on Thursday, October 9th at 6 p.m. Reporting for Ignite Sports, I'm Carlin McGill.
Mohawk women's basketball team was hoping to bring home their first win of the season this week, but Mother Nature had other ideas. The women's basketball team hosted the Humber Hawks Tuesday night. Mohawk was looking for its first win of the season, but Mother Nature had other plans for the women. The rain rolled in before the game had a chance to start. The unsafe conditions forced the umpires and park officials to cancel the game. Both umpires said it was an easy call to make.
Because it was raining and it's not safe to play and the field's unplayable, it's really bad. And you just can't have the kids, call them kids, get hurt.
Well, we had no choice about it getting called. It's not safe conditions. There's no way our team or the umpires or that would put players out on the field in those conditions. Somebody could get hurt. So I'm not surprised. I was just hoping the rain might not come in until about 8 o'clock and we could have got it over. Really the only thing we don't play in is lightning and rain that's this heavy. Pretty much anything else we'll play in. If this game had got started and it was drizzly light and the umpires could dry the balls off so it was safe for the pitcher to throw it and not take a chance of hitting somebody because she couldn't control it, we have finished a game maybe a half an inning in this kind of weather just to get it over, but we'd never start a game in this. That infield was had to be 2 inches deep of mud by the time the rain started to let up, and it wasn't safe for anybody.
It looks like it's going to be another big year for Mohawk's varsity basketball teams. The men's team recently welcomed McMaster University for a friendly preseason exhibition game. Sean Marenka has the story.
The Mohawk men's basketball team just couldn't keep up with McMaster, falling to the Marauders 95-70 in exhibition play. It was Mohawk's second exhibition game against OUA competition this year, losing a tough match to Brock last week 89-74. McMaster came out dominant, controlling the tempo of the game by shooting effectively from the perimeter and crashing the offensive boards, creating second-chance scoring opportunities. Both teams were attacking the paint with aggression, tallying over 40 fouls altogether. Mohawk was able to keep pace with Mac for points in the paint, but it was the 36 points earned from beyond the arc against the Mountaineers' 16 that kept the Marauders ahead all game. Despite the point differential, Mohawk didn't lack for scoring ability, with Andrew Sicatini leading the squad with 14 points and Patrick Ivorone adding 13 off the bench. But their offensive chances were few and far between, with the Mountaineers giving up 20 turnovers, which McMaster turned into an easy 25 points. Ivorone knows there is still work to do, but believes this team has the potential to be one of the best in the province.
We just got to get better rebounding and playing as a team. We got beat a lot up top, even myself on the zone. We clean that up, we're going to be much more competitive. Definitely on the zone defense. Like I said, we clean that up, we're going to be probably the best defensive team again in the country.
Both teams ended up playing their entire dressed rosters, but the Marauders were able to contribute 35 points off the bench compared to the Mountaineers' 26. Coach Brian Yonker was disappointed in the team's effort and is expecting drastic improvements as the season progresses.
They outworked us. They beat us to every loose ball. They were more physical than we were. We really didn't answer the competition well. Full marks. They forced a lot of turnovers. We were very sloppy. But really, they just beat us up, and we've got to mentally be tougher than we were tonight.
Mohawk begins its regular season October 23rd against Humber and comes home November 1st for its home opener against St. Clair. Reporting for Ignite News, I'm Sean Marenka.
That's all for me in sports. Let's pass it over to Jennifer for your entertainment update.
It's fall, and you know what that means, new television. And one of the most hotly anticipated shows of the season is called How to Get Away with Murder. And Kyle Williamson says if there is any justice, it will be the breakout hit of the year.
I'm Professor Annalise Keating, and this is Criminal Law 100, or as I prefer to call it,
How to Get Away with Murder.
Shonda Rhimes has done it again. The creator of TV hits like Grey's Anatomy and Scandal is now producing a new captivating drama created by one of her former writers, Peter Nowak. How to Get Away with Murder is spectacular, or at least has great potential. The pilot opens with 4 people trying to decide what to do with the body they just murdered. We then flash back 3 months earlier to the first day of law school. This is where our 4 to-be murderers meet in Criminology 101, or as Professor Annalise Keating, played by Viola Davis, likes to call it, How to Get Away with Murder. The premise of the show is interesting. Through class, these 4 students learn the legal standpoint of how to get away with murder. Then, when they're actually faced with a dead body, basic fight-or-flight instincts lead them to disagree on what truly is the best method to kill someone and get away scot-free. Keating is more than just a law professor. She is also a defense attorney who represents the accused during murder trials. She doesn't care if they're innocent or if they're cold-blooded killers. She's a shark. She always goes for the kill, no matter what it takes. Professor Keating holds a competition each year in which the top 4 students win a position working at our law office. As a bonus, the student who comes in first also wins a trophy, which gives the student immunity from the class exam. We also learn in the opening scene of this new drama that the statue doubles as the murder weapon. Our 4 murderers are a diverse bunch. Wes Gibbons is underprepared for class, resulting in him having to try and prove something. For good or bad, Wes quickly catches the attention of Professor Keating.
In this way, her poisoning him was an act of self-defense. And I'll just go stand over there.
No, sit.
Michaela Pratt is the bookworm. Michaela is an early favorite to win the top spot in the class. While all the students are smart, it is Pratt that works non-stop until she holds the trophy in her hands.
Step 1, discredit the witness.
I might as well hand you the trophy right now, Miss Pratt. But I won't. Not until I see how the rest of you step up your game.
Connor Walsh is a seductive, stylish gay student who doesn't kiss and tell. This cocky pretty boy is the one to watch as he's willing to walk the blurred line to victory. And then there's Laura Costello, a law student who aspires to better the world. Smart and idealistic, Costello has reservations about defending someone who's guilty of murder. Still, there's more there than meets the eye. While these 4 students have different approaches to getting on top, they all have an unquenchable desire to be the victor. We don't know what led these 4 of the best and brightest to become murderers, but whatever it was, it tied these students together, if they like it or not. The show uses a classic storytelling style of jumping between past and present events. While the majority of the pilot episode is set in the recent past, you get periodic glimpses of these 4 individuals trying to get away with an unthinkable crime. There's plenty to leave the audience waiting at the edge of their seat, eager for the next episode. Besides the obvious question of why they murdered someone, the show is filled with unresolved character tension, most of which is sexual. Also, the body of a sorority girl is found on campus at the pilot's close, uprooting an entire new storyline of questions. How to Get Away with Murder is the show to watch this fall. This promises to be one of the most talked about TV shows of the year, and is sure to become an Emmy-nominated drama. You can catch How to Get Away with Murder Thursdays at 10 p.m. on CTV. I enjoyed the show so much that I watched it twice, earning a rating of 5 out of 5. For Ignite Entertainment, I'm Kyle Williamson.
Tired of the usual pop and hip-hop you find on your radio? Well, Campus Radio is an alternative voice that just might be music to your ears. Kareem Mosna has a look at a new, unique radio show that you can hear only on Mohawk's radio station, The Hawk.
First, Fine Cut. I think we're going to go back to some stuff from the Observer label. I think that's a good place to start, so let's do it. This is Cafe Chalice on 101.5 The Hawk.
After a summer hiatus, Cafe Chalice is back on Mohawk College's radio station, 101.5 The Hawk.
Basically developed a format that lets me play whatever I really like in the first hour, hence the cafe part. And then in hour 2, we break out the chalice.
Break out the chalice.
Break out the chalice.
You always say that.
Yeah.
What's he talking about?
We break
there?
out the chalice, which is it's a smoking device made out of a coconut in Jamaica. So we break out the chalice and we play fine roots rock reggae music, which can even slip into more dubstep, iration, stepa, and that sort of music.
Matthew Tansley is a campus radio veteran. He started in 1996 at McGill University in Montreal and has been broadcasting at Mohawk College since coming here to study journalism in 2000.
As I got involved, especially in a campus community situation where it's a mix of members of the community, special interest group, students from anything, studying anything. There was a sports show, so you're associating with people that are involved in sports medicine. There's a law show, so you're associating with lawyers. There was a medical show, so I was associating with doctors. Coming and going into the station, we had the reggae show, we had the calypso show, we had the Latin show, we had the African show, we had everything. Every community was represented on this radio station. The techno, the hip hop. So it was just more of a melting pot, and everybody got along. It was just a fantastic, fantastic community within the larger Montreal community. And then coming down to Hamilton, I just wanted to continue with that tradition.
But Tansley's show hasn't always been the mix of reggae and world music he plays today.
Way back when I first started doing college radio, I started to really playing, it was more of a punk show. I played a lot of punk music. Then as I slowly evolved, I got into more of a hardcore rave scene. I played a lot of techno, Goa trance, acid trance. That was sort of the scene at the time. From there, it slowly evolved into more down-tempo, acid jazz. I guess from there, sort of started to explore the world of Jamaican roots reggae music. And I really saw a close connection between old school punk music and reggae music, the protests, the social consciousness of the music.
Tansley says he prefers a casual on-air presentation style and is not bothered by mistakes.
I don't like it to be too professional too.
Okay.
That's
fair.
and I don't like the idea of slickness in college radio. I kind of like the idea that there's mistakes. I like that there's a lot of bumps along the way. I like the idea that when I make a mistake on the air, which is very often, I come back and say, whoa, I messed up there, guys, but I'm human, and I'm just one guy volunteering time, and I enjoy hearing that when someone is humble and says that on the radio.
According to Tansley, college radio shows stand out because they are put together solely by one person.
Like you come in, you pick the music, it's music that you like, it's personal to you, and I think that's important. So once in a while somebody has to stand up and say, these are my choices, and live with it, enjoy it. I kind of like that idea that there's one person doing the music, and that's sort of what I used to dream about radio. You sort of imagine that there was some guy there, and it was his choice of music, and wow, he's got some really good choices. Well, it doesn't work that way in commercial radio or even CBC anymore.
Well, no.
It's a panel, it's done by economics, and that's it. So, the idea that one guy's just picking some music, whether, it's reggae, whether it's jazz, I think that's really, really important.
Cafe Chalice airs Tuesday evenings from 6 to 9 on 101.5 The Hawk. For Ignite News, I'm Kareem Mosna.
Survival horror gets a revival. Its name, Alien Isolation. Our resident game reviewer, Steven Sobot, has more.
This is Ripley, last survivor of the Nostromo, signing off.
The Alien franchise is one of the most venerable and influential science fiction series in history. Countless sci-fi games and movies take inspiration from it. You can even argue Alien is more influential than Star Wars. Just look at Halo, gung-ho space marines facing a parasitic alien race that morphs its hosts into terrifying creatures. However, when people mention Alien, they're usually referring to the first two movies, Alien and Aliens. Why? Well, maybe because any Alien movie after the second was uninspired or not as fascinating. It may also be because almost every Alien game was just a standard first-person shooter with a tinge of horror tacked on. No Alien game really made you feel like you're actually trying to survive in a desolate space station. Until now. Alien Isolation is a survival horror game developed by the Creative Assembly and published by Sega. The game takes place 15 years after Alien, but 42 after Aliens. You play as Ellen Ripley's daughter, Amanda, who's looking for her missing mother. An official from the Weyland-Yutani Corporation tells her they have found the flight recorder of the spaceship Nostromo, the ship her mother was on during the events of Alien. You are sent to the Sevastopol space station, only to be separated from your crew and left alone in the dark, dreary station.
Samuels! Taylor! Respond! Anybody!
If there's one word to describe Alien Isolation, it's foreboding. For the first hour in the station, you don't meet a single living being. You are left to your own imagination as to what happened. And then when you do meet someone, he's pointing a gun to your head. Axel and you... he's Axel, by the way. Try to find a way off the station, but he gets killed by a xenomorph. However, as you progress through the game, you'll find the alien is sometimes the least of your worries. Weary human survivors shoot first and ask questions later, and the Working Joe android's creepy demeanor and blank slate faces hide a darkness that will be revealed later on. The game gets survival horror down perfectly, but sometimes too perfectly. Your health is relatively realistic, so you can only take 1 or 2 bullets before you die. Enemies are very unpredictable, which also means you're going to have to redo sections of the game over and over again. Combat is clunky, but it wouldn't make sense for an untrained mechanic to know how to kill someone else. The game really shines when you have to sneak around enemies. It gets very intense when the threat is within meters of your location, but then walks away because it couldn't find you. When you find the flight recorder of the Nostromo corrupted and damaged, you feel the same feeling of dread Ripley feels. It's very immersive. Overall, it's the closest thing we'll ever get to experience Alien, so give this game a go. Alien Isolation is available on Steam, Xbox 360 and Xbox One, and PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4.
Don't tell them anything. Look, I've got the elevator working. Jana, let's go, okay?
I'm sorry. Good luck.
And that's all for your entertainment news this week. Back to Megan and Elisa at the desk.
That's all for us here at the news desk.
For more news updates, check out our website at ignitenews.ca. I'm Elisa Piccarillo.
And I'm Megan Adams. Thanks for watching.